Welcome to Fire Friday. I'm Natasha, your host. I am a licensed mental health professional, mental wellness and execution strategist, and I'm here to help you to learn how to scale and get rid of the blocks that's stopping you from scaling. Today's topic is all about the identity that you need to take on to prevent the lack of scaling. So if you're in a place where you trying to scale in your business, scaling your professional career, and you feel stuck and you're not sure, why am I just not able to grow the way I'm trying to grow and evolve the way I'm trying to evolve and scale to the next level the way I'm trying to scale, I'm going to help you to understand that it's not that you're doing something wrong or you're not doing something enough of. It may be connected to how you are seeing yourself and how you are positioning yourself in these different settings and environments. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. I'm excited to give you all the tips and strategies. If you are watching this on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel. Make sure you like this video, share it to somebody right now so they can tune in. And if you're watching a replay, welcome, share the replay because I'm going to be dropping some gems on how to get unstuck in that way of when it comes to scaling, when it comes to scaling success, right? How to scale to the next level of success and understanding why that scaling is not happening. If you're watching on LinkedIn, thank you for following me. Again, share this link with somebody. And if you're on LinkedIn, make sure you hop over to my Speak Life Transformation TV YouTube channel, subscribe, and join me there as well. So I want you to think about, right? Think about where you feel you're not scaling successfully, like where you're trying to take your success to a next level, and you're just not seeing the growth that you want to see. What is that, right? We are now, can you believe it or not, we are now at the bottom of quarter one. We have like a week left of quarter one in 2026, and we're about to head over to quarter two already. Yes, it is here. Basically, it's already here. And at the top of this year, I'm sure you set some goals for yourself. And I want you to think about in the past 3 months, where have you been struggling with scaling? What goals have you been struggling with taking to the next level? What goals have you been struggling with executing and following through on? And I really want you to think about that. And sometimes when we look at our goals, we think like, well, maybe this wasn't the right goal. Maybe I wasn't being realistic. Maybe this is not the right time for this goal because what's going on in my life. And I want to say, no, that's not it. The goal you set is your goal. And you need to check my previous Fire Fridays to make sure the goal actually aligns with with the identity of the person you need to be to achieve, and make sure your identity is aligning. We're going to talk about that part. Make sure your identity aligns with the person you need to be to achieve your goals. We're going to deal with that today. But you also want to make sure that the goals you set align with who you try to be in the life that you're trying to live. So double check that, because that could be the issue as well. But let's say that's not the issue. Let's say the goals you set are the right goals for you and where you're trying to go, and you're still not seeing growth. And sometimes we start to question, is this even the right goal? Maybe I was, being too ambitious, or maybe I just, was writing. No. It's not that you did the wrong thing or the wrong goal. It's all about your identity. So it's not necessarily about rising to your goals. Like, maybe I'm just not rising to the level of achieving my goals. Like, maybe I'm just not doing enough. I'm not spending enough time on my goals, or I'm not. It's really about rising your identity. Are you rising up? Are you living up to the person you need to be in order to actually achieve your goals? That's what we're going to be talking about. So for me, I'm celebrating this month, reaching 5 years within my practice, Speak Life Transformation. It's a mental health and wellness practice located in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and I'm excited to meet this milestone. And so I've been reflecting as I was preparing for today's discussion. I was reflecting for myself, thinking about, well, what identities that I have to change, right? Like what growth, who did I have to stop being, right? Who did I have to stop being over these 5 years in order to be here at year 5, but then also to add another 5 more to this, right? 5 more plus to my business. And when I was thinking about it, I recall when I first started my business, I was really minimizing my skill set, and not minimizing as if like not even acknowledging it, but I just simplify it. I just think like, anybody can do that, right? Like, it's not that big of a deal. There's a lot of people doing X, whatever that skill is, whether it's me being great at organizing, whether it's me good at creating, programs and curriculums, or whether it's me doing creative work. I just minimize it. So like, wait, anybody could do that. Like, there's a lot of people out here doing this work, right? And I had to realize, like, in order for me to really sell the products and the services that I have, I need to stop looking at my skill set as like anybody can do this, because then anybody will buy it. Then I look like, oh, we don't have to go to you. We can go to somebody else. I had to make sure I position myself in a way where it's like, no. Even if you go to somebody else, it's not going to be like, you're not going to get what I offer, right? It's not going to be the same. It's not going to be the same level and this same type of capacity that I'm going to be able to provide to you. I had to recognize, like, girl, what you provide is dope, and who you are is dope, and how you show up is dope, and the service that you provide is dope, and how you execute those services is dope, right? And I had to stand in that and stop minimizing, like, oh, anybody can do that. So that's why I had to shed that layer of just like, oh, I mean, I'm good, but there's a lot of people who are out here doing the same thing, to like, no, I'm great and you need me for this. And this is why, right? And so I was thinking about that for you. Like, who do you need to shed? What version of you do you need to shed to really start executing the goals that you have for yourself? Now, I'm going to show you 3 identity traps that you may need to shed. These are 3 different areas. And these are similar areas that I often talk about. And the reason why I often talk about the same type of identity traps or mindset traps or sabotaging blocks is because these are the most common things that come up in high achieving women, high performing professionals, that continue to block them from scaling the way they're looking to scale when it comes to their success. And so the first one is pleasing. Again, these are 3 identity traps. So the first identity trap is the pleaser. When you are the pleaser and you identify yourself as a pleaser, whether indirectly or directly, you identify yourself as a pleaser, what happens with that identity? There's this belief that you need approval before visibility. So before you take the lead in something, before you make any pivots or take risk, before you launch something new, right? You need that reassurance that it's okay to do that. So what happens is your leadership and your business decisions become based on those decisions. What you decide to do, when you decide to move forward on or not move forward on, those decisions are based on the reassurance from others. Because the reassurance helps you feel safe. It creates safety because, if other people are saying like, yeah, girl, do that, that's a good idea. Or no, don't do that, that's a bad idea. Then that will prevent you from being judged and somebody thinking like, wow, she's crazy. Why would she do something like that? Like, that's really risky. Why would somebody take that type of risk? Or a level of, misunderstanding, just not understanding you, not getting it, right? Someone being upset, like, how could you move forward when you knew I needed you here? Or when you're talking with a business partner, you're thinking like, actually, I want to shift in a different direction. I don't think this is where I want to go. And you're worried about upsetting that person. So you stay in the business, even though it's not where you want to be. Or at work with coworkers or your business or your colleagues. And you're like, well, I don't want to leave because if I leave, they're going to be left with all this. And they're not going to have anybody to replace me or anybody to do the work like I do. So, and you end up staying in places that you don't need to be because you are worried about upsetting others, or people are judging you and not getting or understanding the decisions you make. And so you need that reassurance to confirm that it'll be okay. Like, nobody's going to be upset with you. Nobody's going to judge you. And as you can see, that sabotages scaling, because if you have a goal, you decide either 2 things. When you develop goals, those goals are developed on, are other people going to get it? Are other people going to approve and say this is okay, right? Or if you set the goal without that, and then it's time to make moves, and there's certain moves you have to make, certain steps you have to take to achieve that goal, and that step or that move might put you at risk of upsetting other people or other people not getting it. Now you're hesitating to make that move. And that might be a signature or a necessary move to make to really achieve your goals and take your scaling to the next level. Let's talk about number 2. The second identity trap is the prover. The prover focuses on, and what happens with the prover is there is this overwork to feel worthy. And so you end up doing a lot of work. You end up doing a lot of things. You take a lot of steps. You engage in a lot of activities and responsibilities and to prove that you belong. This is what happens with that. There's this belief that your works proves you belong. Works meaning your performance. So the more you perform and you perform well, the more things you do proves that you do belong here. It also proves you have what it takes because you show the skill in this and you show that you are capable of handling this level of pressure or responsibility, right? And it also proves that you know what you're talking about. And so it gives you the authority, like whether it's a certification or a degree or a title, right, that you end up earning, right? It's all these things that prove that I know what I'm talking about in this topic or this category, this field of work. The issue with that one is that it leads to a lot of hesitation and procrastination because you end up hesitating and or procrastinating when it comes to making leadership or business decisions because you are requiring yourself to have it all together first. Like, I can't move forward on this decision until I know that I will be successful in this, or until every I is dotted, every T is crossed. So that shows that I know what I'm doing, right? And then there's a delay. And how that sabotages scaling is then you end up missing out on opportunities. You end up missing out on opportunities to grow. You end up slowing the process of actually achieving your goals. And so now instead of, you now it's Q2 and you still haven't moved forward on your goals the way you were anticipating and wanting to. And so that is how proving then sabotages scaling. And last but not least, the third identity trap is the over responsible one. This is where you end up carrying everybody's emotional weight. You make it your responsibility to fix and to solve everyone's problems. Now, when you're doing that, you then leave no room emotionally for yourself. You leave no room even physically for yourself because you spend all your time and your energy on fixing and solving other people's problems and you have nothing left for yourself, which means you have nothing left to focus on your goals, focus on what you're trying to achieve, because you are over here helping everybody else achieve their goals. You're over here helping protect everybody else from facing problems or having to face a tough situation or a challenge. Meanwhile, you're leaving yourself with a bunch of challenges that you can't even solve or have the capacity to solve or face because you gave all your time and energy to other people. And as you can see, that then sabotages scaling because now when it's time to, you have to deal with something that's important, or you have to make decisions that are facing deadlines, or you have to plan or prepare for a transition, whether it's within your leadership and or within your business, you don't have the time or capacity for that. And then you don't do it well. If you do find the time, you're not doing it well. You're not doing it at your best. Or you put it on pause. You know what? I'll just, that can wait. Because right now this person needs me. And so, I'll get to that tomorrow. Or you know what? I'll just put it on pause for right now. I gotta wait until this person is stable. And then once this person is stable, then I now know I can then move forward and now focus on me. And so there's no movement. It leads to no movement at all. And the next thing you know, instead of it just being the top of Q2, now you're at the top of Q4 looking back like, what happened? And it's because you're putting everybody else's needs before your own. So how do you make this identity shift, right? And the reason why I'm often talking about the identity is because this is not about some mindset fluff. And I also want to continue to challenge you to understand that when it comes to scaling, when it comes to growth, when it comes to achieving your goals, when it comes to executing on your goals, it is more than just checking things off the list. Because if it was that easy, we all would be achieving our goals. If it was that easy to put someone on the list and say, check, all right, I got it, let's do it, we would all be achieving our goals with no problem. Nobody would ever be stuck. And there wouldn't be an issue of clarity of figuring out like, why am I not moving? What step I'm supposed to take first? And not realizing that all that overthinking, all that over functioning, overworking, over accessibility, all these things, right, is what is causing you to be stuck. And this is why you needed that internal work. So let's talk about the work itself. What does that internal work look like when it comes to identity shift? So when it comes to shifting from the pleaser, you want to shift from the pleaser to the leader. Remember, I said earlier, when you're pleasing, you are not taking the lead without permission. And that's not permission from you, that's permission from somebody else. You're waiting for permission from others to say, you know what, go ahead, that makes sense. Yeah, you should do that. Go ahead, lead. That's a great idea. You're looking for all these confirmations from other people to reassure you that what you're thinking about doing is the quote unquote right thing to do. And there you won't disappoint others. This worry of disappointing others. But when you're a leader, you could care less if you disappoint others. You're like, listen, this is what I need to do for myself. This is what I know I need to do for my business. This is what I know I need to, I set this goal. I know I need to take these steps to set this goal. So I'm going to go forward. When you're at work or you're in your business, you step forward and pitch that meeting. You step forward and pitch your business. You step forward in a meeting, you speak up. And you're not waiting for someone to say, okay, yeah, you can do that. It's your turn now. You demand that you are visible. And so you give yourself the permission. The shift from the prover is shifting from the prover to position expert. Position expert is being an expert and knowing what you bring to the table. See, the prover is all these internal great things about you. So you're saying to yourself, that's not enough. I got to do more. Like, it's not enough that I'm great at this skill, or it's not enough that I have this amazing characteristic trait. It's not enough that I have this experience, right? It's not enough that I have these skills and these strengths. That's not enough. I had to do more. I got, that's good and all, but I need to also add some more to it so that I can guarantee that people see why I belong here. But when you move from the position expert, you recognize, like, I don't need to do anything extra. My work shows itself. My work speaks for itself. My experience, all that time I spent in school, or all that time I spent in X career, that says enough. My life experience, how I show up in meetings, or how I provide my services, or the type of products I put out, that all speaks for itself. I don't need to do anything else. That's what that position expert says. And that's what stops you from the overworking and the overfunctioning. Again, as you can see, this is all identity work, how you're seeing yourself. You're seeing yourself as a leader. You're seeing yourself as someone who has the permission to take the lead in things that she wants for herself. You're seeing yourself as the woman who has the background that speaks for herself, has the skills, has this experience, has the strengths, has the characteristic traits, has the passion that speaks for herself. She don't have to do nothing extra, right? And then the identity shift when it comes to over responsibility is shifting from the over responsibility to the strategic CEO. And so now, instead of feeling like you need to manage everybody's emotions and you're so focused on making sure everybody's okay, everybody's stable, you are now being strategic about how you use your energy and how you use your time. And so you're strategic about what you're managing. You think about a CEO. A CEO is someone who manages the business. They oversee the business. And so now you're being a CEO of your time and your energy. You're looking at your body. You're looking at your mental health. You're looking at your spiritual health, your physical health, your emotional health, right? All of that. You're looking at all of that in a CEO mindset of how I'm going to manage this in a way that makes sense so I can function successfully as an individual, as a business person, as a businesswoman, as a leader. How does that even look, right? So I can make sure that I'm being strategic and utilizing my time and energy in spaces that I'm in. And so you don't just give it out to anybody anymore. You're now setting boundaries that say where you easily say no without any problem. And you also take the wisdom to know what you need to say yes to. Now, why all this works? Why does this identity work, right? When it comes to really focusing and practicing and understanding your identity. Well, this is how it all connects. That self-concept. Self-concept is understanding you as yourself, individual from everything else around the world, right? You're just seeing you as you, outside of the roles you play, outside of the responsibilities you have, right? You just by yourself, right? When you have that understanding of who you are and you stand 10 toes down on her and you have an understanding of who you need to be in order to achieve the goals and you work hard and you take the steps to grow and evolve and grow and evolve into her. When it comes to pricing, for example, there's no question. Going back to what I said, 5 years ago, I was like kind of, minimizing my skill set. And as a result of that, then I was comparing like how much should I charge? What is everybody else charging? Maybe I should be charging that, right? And then when it came to my coaching, it was like, oh, really? Then I was like, well, I don't have this experience just yet, or when I do this, but when I shed that off, and really stood strong in positioning expert, right? Then my pricing, I no longer had issue with pricing what I wanted to price. My price was my price. And not worrying like, oh, is that too much? Or is anybody even going to want to pay that? No, my price is my price. And not saying I still sometimes don't have those moments, but I can easily check myself. Like, girl, no, your price is your price. Because I know who I am. I know what I bring to the table. That positioning CEO mindset, right? Another way that this self-concept helps is that it helps you also determine your visibility. There's no longer a fear of being visible, whether it's social media, whether it's going to networking events, whether it's speaking up at a meeting, whether it's taking the lead and doing presentations, whether it's pitching your business, right? There's no fear about that. I was just at a luncheon yesterday, and part of the luncheon there was a meet and greet where you were literally pitching your business to big corporations, right? And I would have to say, like, that was probably the first time in a long time that I really felt confident and just like, we going out there and we pitching. When's my turn? Let's go. you know? And there's no fear of the visibility. Even with social media, in the beginning, there was like all this, like, I need to show up a certain way. I quickly shed that because I ended up being a lot of energy. And now I just show up as Natasha and not being afraid of what people may say or not be afraid of what may come with that, whether it's success and be afraid of like, what if this leads to a lot of success and I'm not ready for it? Or what if it leads to no success? Right? No, it's like, no, I'm going to be visible because I know that what I bring to the table is has worth and value. And I need to be visible in order to grow my business. In order for me to scale and get the success, I have to be visible. And the last self-concept determines boundaries. Once you stand strong in who you are and identify, going from pleaser to leader, going from prover to position expert, going from over responsible to strategic CEO, right? Then you are able to set the boundaries unapologetically. You're very clear on what boundaries you need to set. This is as you can see, this is a revenue architecture. Just recognizing your identity impacts how you end up pricing something, impacts how you end up showing up, impacts how you end up setting boundaries, And so it's really important to be clear on who you are and removing the blocks, the sabotaging blocks, the mindset blocks that prevent you from stepping into that identity. Because once you step into that identity, then the scaling happens. So I hope this was helpful for you. Make sure you share this video, whether you're watching this on LinkedIn or you're watching this on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, Speak Life Transformation TV. hit the notification button so you can be notified when I drop a video. And if you're on LinkedIn, follow me on follow me on YouTube as well. And as always, until I see you again, make sure you be bold, be unapologetic, and speak life.